Welcome to a Cafe Parisian Trifold Waterfall Folio tutorial. I'm Charee Filimoehala here at the G45 headquarters, and today I'm going to teach you how to take one of our pre-made trifold bases and turn it into this super fun and interactive album. This mini album has been created for us by Carla Vera. So you can see we have some of our gorgeous G45 trim on the outside, some nice fussy cuts. And I just love these Cafe Parisian pink and blues. I love pink, and paired with this nice blue, it's just so gorgeous and really pops. So you can see when we first open it up, we've got a little pocket with a nice little folder, with another little wraparound tie to kind of mimic our outside cover. Open this beautiful folder up, and we have got some great spaces for keeping all those memories. And this just tucks right in there. And then on this first flap here, we have another little folder that folds out with more spots for photos, and the super cute little pocket here. And then we've got a nice full-size pocket page here. We've got another photo mat, space for putting in all of your extra photos and memories, pamphlets, trinkets. And then here, Carla has created a super cute little stripe pocket, and then cut out some of our cut-aparts from the 12 by 12 collection pack and just stuffed those nicely in there. And then right here in the center, we've got our first horizontal waterfall. And this just opens up, offering so many fun interactive details, so many spots for your photos. That's got a nice little magnetic closure there. And then here we've got a nice vertical waterfall, so all your photos can be right in the spotlight. Just love how she's done these waterfall pages, giving us some nice cohesive looks and making it nice and simple at the same time. Now, to create this album, you're going to need to pick up our Volume 9 album kit. You can do that by heading on over to our website, G45papers.com, or down to your local G45 retailer.
In this kit, you're going to get a Graphic 45 resealable bag, perfect for holding all those goodies. You're going to get the Ivory Trifold Folio Album, our Ivory Trim, a project sheet with step-by-step directions and photos, and of course the G45 Cafe Parisian 12 by 12 papers. You get 24 double-sided sheets in here, 2 of each gorgeous design.
In the tutorial, we're going to teach you so many great techniques. So even if you don't have the supplies, we encourage you to grab what you have at home and create along with us and learn some new fun things that you can take to all of your paper crafting projects. So grab those papers, grab those scissors, and let's have some fun. To get this party started, we are going to unwrap our Trifold Folio and get out your project sheet. Of course, I'm going to give you all the directions and dimensions in this tutorial, so if you don't have it, it's no big deal. But you can always find it on our website at G45papers.com under the project sheet, or under the inspiration tab. Just go to project sheets. And you can also get it when you pick up our Volume 9 album kit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of floral souffle that's been cut to 7 1/8 by 7 3/8, and we're going to adhere it onto the cover. You can see I've opened my cover up, and I'm using a bone folder to make sure I get a nice good bond. I always like to take a paper towel or a damp rag and clean off any excess adhesive as I go along, as I use my favorite liquid adhesive, which is the Art Glitter Glue. You can tell this bottle has gotten a lot of love because I just keep refilling it on up. Grab your chevron ivory ribbon or any coordinating ribbon, and we're going to take 40 inches of that. Just folding it in half. I got my crease here. And I'm going to put this on my spine end that doesn't have the cover opening, and about in the center of that spine. And then I'm going to have my tails wrap around to the front where it opens up here. So I don't want to adhere anything just yet, but I want to keep my placement how I like it, and I want that to be nicely in the center. Now I have a piece of cherry on top that's been cut to 6 1/8 by 6 1/4. I've added some liquid adhesive to the back side with my blue up front, and I'm just going to adhere this right over the top of my ribbon that has not been adhered. So center that and adhere away. Take your Cafe Parisian signature page and let's do some fussy cutting. So we are going to be focusing on this section here, and we are going to be fussy cutting out a few of these fun details, including this Cafe Parisian sign. We want to take out this bottom corner here. We want to cut along these 3 stamps and these gorgeous roses and desserts. We're going to take this fun little menu, including these 2 cuties here and this side border piece here. That vertical strip side border piece, it's about 1/2 inch and 6 3/8 inch. And this other corner piece is about 5 inches by 3 inches. So, you know, and if you're new here to Graphic 45 and you want a little fussy cut refresher, I'm here to give you a little snippet of that. So we're going to take our fine tip scissors and the piece of paper that we're using. Of course, we want to be mindful of all the things that we are going to be using so we don't cut into anything. So I know now what we are going to be using, so I can cut accordingly. So I'm just going to loosely cut around this little leaf from this rosebud and then go in here by these 3 stamps and cut along the orange. Is that orange or is that salmon? What color do you think this is? Pink? I'm going to call it salmon. I'm going to cut along this salmon border here and then grab out this leaf. And we're going up to this blue. And we're going up to this beautiful blue little cupcake. But then we are also using all of this here. So I do want to be thoughtful when I'm cutting that. The idea is I don't want to be working with this large 12 by 12 sheet, so I do want to cut around the area that I want, and then I'll go in and get those fine details. So here's the basic area that I'm going to be cutting out, and now I can go in there and really get these details. So I'm going to get this cute little leaf by my little petit four cake and cut around this scrumptious looking cake. Now that I have a more manageable size paper, you can see it's a lot easier for me to get my blade into those smaller places and kind of weave my paper around through that blade, making this process so much more fun. And of course, you can always get as fussy or detailed as you'd like, or you can just skimp out on the details that you don't want to include. It's all about enjoying the process and just adding some embellishments in a super affordable way where we're just collaging and having fun. Graphic 45 started out from my mom's love of collage and all things vintage, as you can tell in our papers, and it's just so much fun to get to work with a new collection, or in this case, an old favorite that has come back, and really look at those images, look at those layers on layers, and kind of plan out your projects while you're just in the zone having some fun cutting. Now, if you ever mess up or you want your layers to stand out, you can always take some ink and ink up those edges. That will make your layers pop on your papers, and it will hide any imperfections as well. So there you have it, a fun little fussy cut element for our cover. And one more fussy cut for our cover. We're going to take our creme de la creme paper and we are going to cut out this cut apart here. And then from that cut apart, we are going to trim this beautiful image out. Now we're going to add our ladies onto our front cover. I have it at the slightest of angles and just right next to our ribbon. Add our menu with our two cuties on the left-hand side. And last, we are going to add our Cafe Parisian sentiment onto that front cover here. And if you want to leave that off, you definitely could. And you could put your own sentiment here. Maybe this is a birthday album. Maybe it's summer 2022. So you could always put your title there. Step 3, we're going to take Cherry on Top and cut out two pieces that adhere to our spines that are 1 inch by 7 3/8. And then cut and adhere two more pieces. One is going to be a cherry on top that's 2 1/4 by 7 3/8. And one's going to be a floral souffle that is 4 7/8 by 7 3/8. Step 4, we're cutting a piece of parasol bouquet to be 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. And then we are going to take our ruler and we are going to do a little bit of marking. So I want to mark this from the top left at 1 1/8. And from the bottom right, I'm going to mark it up at 1 1/4. And then taking a handy dandy paper trimmer, I'm going to find my two marks and I am going to cut on a diagonal. So I've got my mark up here at 1 1/8 and down here at 1 1/4, and go ahead and trim.
Adhere this piece to the diagonal pocket.
Now we're taking our piece of crepe Suzette that's 6 3/4 by 7 inches, and we've just slid it underneath our pocket. And these pockets can sometimes be a little bit sticky, so you can just take your bone folder and burnish down your paper and make sure you're opening up your pocket nicely. From the Life is Sweet paper, we're going to cut out Happiness is a Cup of Coffee and a Good Book. And I want to put this here on my pocket, so I'm just going to kind of leave my hands where I know I don't want adhesive and add my liquid adhesive. And then adhere this onto your pocket, making sure your pocket's still open. Now this is looking super cute, but if you want to go above and beyond, you can fussy cut these macaroons and roses out from our Cafe Parisian signature page we've got left over from our front cover, and adhere this onto the bottom left corner. Step 6, we're going to cut a piece of Bon Appetit to be 4 3/4 by 12 inches. And then put this in your scoreboard, and we're going to score from the top at a 1/2 inch and 7 1/4 on the 12-inch side. Fold in on those score lines.
And then we're going to cut a piece of petit fours to be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4.
Add adhesive to this 1/2 inch section and adhere this to your petit fours, like so, making sure that this can fold over beautifully. And then if you want to go above and beyond again, you can just take a circle punch and punch out these corners to give them a nice little fancy look. So I've done that with the top, and I'll do it with my bottom as well. I'm just using a 1/2 inch circle punch and just notching off just the slightest bit from those corners. Step 7, we're going to take 26 inches of our ivory satin ribbon, and I've just folded that in half so I know where my half part is, and then I'm going to put my folded edge on the center of my left hand edge of my folder that I've created. It's very similar to how we did our cover. Just find that center like so, add your adhesive and adhere this down. So I'm kind of pulling on my ribbons, making sure that they're staying in place how I want them to be. And then I'm going to find my center. Of course, if you want to go above and beyond, you can always trim out that border here, that blue border, so you have a nice decorative edge. I think it looks super cute this way, and it's quite a bit simpler, so I wanted to show you both ways, and then you can decide how you want to go. From our Life of Sweet paper, I have cut out this journaling card, and I've just adhered it in a U shape, and I'm going to pinch my little edges forward so you can see that it's an easy little tuck spot if you want. And then I have this little sentiment spot from Creme de la Creme, and it's going to adhere right up top here. Now just close your folder up and tie a bow. Like so. Of course, you can always add your little knots at the end if you've got extra. Giving it that Diane seal of approval. Now this cutie is just going to tuck right into our decorated pocket, decorating our full pocket page. So I'm taking this piece of Bon Appetit that's been cut to 7 inches by 7 1/8, and I'm just going to kind of find my sweet spot. And then once I do, I'm going to take a little paper clip like so, and then flip this over and trace out your notch with a pencil or pen. And then you can take some fine tip scissors and cut generously around your traced mark. You'd want to do that about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an, and about 1/8 of an inch larger than what you have measured. Or if you happen to have a circle punch that's a 1 3/4 of an inch, that will work beautifully as well. So I'm just going to center this and punch. Adhere that down, and then burnish on the back side. Cut a piece of parasol bouquet to 1 inch by 7 1/8 and adhere it about 1 inch from the right hand side. Step 9, we're taking Life is Sweet, and we've cut it to 4 inches by 5 1/2, and we've adhered it to the bottom right hand or left hand quarter rather. Then we're going to fussy cut out this big postage stamp from Postage Patisserie, and I'm leaving this area unadhered on the back of the left hand side, and this is just going to go in our bottom right corner, overlapping over our striped border and going over our gorgeous floral photo mat. So I left it unadhered on that side, so that way when I go to put in my photo, it can slide beautifully underneath there. And then I can add adhesive on top after I add my photo. We're going to cut another piece of parasol bouquet to be 7 inches by 5 inches. And then paper clip this to the top, leaving an equal size border to the both sides and the top. Flip this over and use our method of tracing this out. And this time I'll attempt using the fine tip scissors instead of my hole punch. So I want this to be about 1/8 of an inch or so larger than where I traced. So I cut that out. And now this will adhere right up top. So this half circle definitely looks better than this one, but it's still not bad considering. Take another piece of that parasol bouquet and add adhesive in a U shape. This time we cut this to be 7 inches by 2.5. And we are just going to adhere this beauty onto the bottom. Pinch your top corners together ever so slightly, and now you've created a gorgeous pocket. From Creme de la Creme, we've cut this border, Enjoy the Little Things, to be 7 inches long, and it's just going to go on the top of our pocket. Cut out a dessert square from Creme de la Creme and add adhesive just to the bottom half, and this is going to teeter between the top of your pocket and your parasols. And then from the Life is Sweet cut apart page, we've cut these 3 super cute cut aparts, and they're just going to slide right in. Step 12, we're going to be using our Petit Four paper, and we've cut this piece to be 7 1/8 by 4 3/8. I've opened up my horizontal waterfall, and this is just going to go right in there. And then we're going to cut 5 pieces of Petit Fours to 7 1/8 by 1/2 inch. And then these are going to go in between our waterfalls like so, matching those up perfectly. You can see we have added all of our nice checkers, so we have this gorgeous cohesive background. So we have our border that we cut earlier from Cafe Parisian, that's 6 3/8, and then we have these 2 that are also 6 3/8 from Creme de la Creme. Adhere those to page 2, 4, and 6. Cut 3 pieces of floral souffle to 12 inches by 3 7/8. Take 2 of those pieces and we're going to score at 6 3/8 on the 12-inch side. And then we're going to take that last piece and we are going to score it at 5 5/8. Crease all 3 of those so you have the checker on the outside. And then if you want to go above and beyond, we can notch out some corners on those checkered board shorter ends. And then add adhesive to the large section, having our smaller section peeking out. And this is going to adhere onto our page 2 with our opening towards the left. You want to make sure that this is going to open and close beautifully. So if you do need to put it down a little bit on top of your border, go ahead and do that. And that second one is going to have the opening on the right-hand side. And it's going to be on our waterfall page 4. And the last one's going to go on page 6. And then we're going to cut out 3 stamps from Postage Patisserie and add adhesive, just a stripe of adhesive on the back of the left-hand side for our pages 2 and 6. And this is just going to go on the left side in the center. That way it's going to act as a nice little closure and tuck spot for that. And then on our page 4, we have just done it on the opposite. Step 16, we're going to cut out 2 pieces of confectionery paper, and this has been cut to 6 3/8 by 4 3/8. And then we adhered those onto waterfall 3 and 5. Step 17, we've taken another piece of parasol bouquet that's been cut to 6 3/8 by 4 3/8, and we adhered it onto the top. Next, we're going to take a piece of confectionery paper, and we have cut this to be 3 3/4 by 3 7/8 of an inch. And then we're taking this cut apart, and it's going to adhere just right over the top. And if you still want more decoration, let's do a little more fussy cutting from our Cafe Parisian paper that we've been fussy cutting from, and just cut this cutie out and add to the bottom right of your paper. And then to cover up our little magnet here, we have this piece from Creme de la Creme. I added adhesive around in a square and then a dot in the center. And this is just going to adhere over Really just taking the time to seal that magnet in so it looks nice and decorative. Step 18, we are going to be decorating at the back side of our waterfall number 2. So we've cut our crepe Suzette to be 4 3/4 by 7 1/8, and then we have 5 of these pieces that are also crepe Suzette that are cut to 1/2 inch by 7 1/8. Adhere those down. Step 19. For step 19, we're going to cut out 3 pieces of parasol bouquet to be 6 3/4 by 1/2 inch, and then we're going to add those onto our waterfall page 2, 4, and 6. And then we're going to cut out 3 pieces of Life is Sweet to be 6 3/8 by 3 7/8, and add those to the same 2, 4, and 6 pages. Step 20, we're going to cut out 3 pieces of upper crust. That's going to be 4 3/8 by 6 3/8, and then we're going to adhere them to our page 1, 3, and 5. Cut out this beauty from our creme de la creme page, and I'm going to just add it as is and in a U shape with my pocket loading on the left hand side, so I can tuck in things if I'd like there. But you can always do it how Carla has done and cut that border out so you have this nice decorative edge here, and you could still do the pocket that way also. Cut out another square from creme de la creme, add your adhesive on the back. This time I've added more adhesive than last time, and I'm going to see if that helps me out in covering up our little magnet. So I'm just kind of working from the center and one side at a time. Let's go ahead and do our bottom edge and then our top. Just kind of sealing in our magnet. I feel like I'm making a little magnet ravioli here. And then clean up that excess. You can see I've changed to just a handy dandy damp paper towel. That red towel I was using earlier, I realized was leaving some pink residue on my album, so we're gonna have to fix that. From our Petit-Four paper, we've cut 2 strips to be 1 1/8 by 3 3/4, and these cuties are just gonna go right on our magnetic waterfall strip holders. And I'm just gonna pick this up and make sure I've got it where I want it. I did when I was cutting my strips, I made sure that at the bottom that you could see a nice full dessert there, because next we are going to be taking these 2 little squares from creme de la creme and we're going to be adding those to our waterfalls. So I've just added adhesive directly onto our little waterfall element and place this where you like it and flip it over and make sure it's nice and bonded. And we'll do the same over here. Now, if you're in a humid environment like I am, you can see some of the papers sometimes want to try to curl up after using the liquid adhesive. So to fix it so it looks nice like this one, you can just take a bone folder and just kind of go the opposite way that it is curling. So I'm just going from underneath, just kind of curling that the opposite way that it wants to go right now. And there you have it. My pages are already looking a lot better and more flat. So we have finished with our insides, but you can see my binding is looking a little rough due to the red cloth I was using yesterday. So I'm just going to cover it up with some extra papers we've got from our kit. So this is postage patisserie, and I've cut this to be 7/8 of an inch by 7 1/4. And this will adhere here. From the same postage patisserie, I've cut out 2 more pieces that are 1/2 of an inch by 7 1/4, and I've adhered them here and here. So now we have a nice cohesive, balanced book. Now we are going to close this like so. And we've got another piece of postage patisserie. This time it is 7 1/8 by 7 3/8. And this will adhere right here. We're going to cut our Cafe Parisian page to 6 5/8 by 7 inches. And we're going to turn this into a pocket. So we are going to do some 1/2 inch scoring. I don't want any scoring on my left hand edge. So I'm going to flip this over so I have my stripes up. And I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch. Flip it back over so I see I have scored the right side. Now I'm going to score the top and bottom at a 1/2 inch as well. So score that at a 1/2 inch and the bottom at a 1/2 inch. And then we'll go ahead and crease on those score lines. I like to start in the center and work my way out. From there, we are going to trim our corners off from our scored edges where those two scored edges meet. And I just trim right shy of that edge. And then on this 1/2 inch edge, I'm gonna cut this in at about a 45-degree angle on both of those as well. Add adhesive to those 3 1/2 inch tabs, and we'll add our pocket and then center that and add it on to your trifold page. Step 23, we're taking a piece of our confectionery paper and we've cut this to be 11 by 5 1/2, and then we've scored it on the 11 inch side at 5 1/2. And go ahead and fold. And then making sure our insides are right side up, let's go ahead and add our border. Remember that guy from the beginning, to the front of our folder and this patisserie cut apart from our creme de la creme paper. And then on the inside, we're gonna take our crepe Suzette paper and we've cut the square to be 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. And we've notched out our little corners. And then we've taken this creme de la creme little journaling plate here and added it to the inside. Now all that's left to do is tuck our little folder into our pocket and tie it up. Once you have your bow how you like it, we can always add a little extra flair. You can do it a couple of different ways. We can equal out our tails. Now, if you want to add a little curl to your ribbon after it's done, you can just wrap it around a paintbrush or something else you've got round on your craft table. Of course, this won't stay once you untie it, but if you want it to look beautiful on a shelf or for some photos, it's just a fun little technique adding that extra touch. So we hope that you enjoyed creating this fun interactive folio with us today. We can't wait to see your projects. So go ahead and share them on Instagram using that Graphic45 hashtag and show us what you're working with. If you're looking for more great tutorials like this one, we have another Cafe Parisian tutorial coming up with some cards, and you can go ahead and find that on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you know each and every time we upload a new fun and fabulous tutorial like this one. We thank you so much for joining us today, and as always, happy paper crafting.